Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Pardon my voice, I still have a cough and a flu. But in today's video, we'll be taking a look at a series of videos where palm color people speak candidly about their own role in perpetrating racism and palm color supremacy. Now, in this series of videos, they share their insights on why so many palm color people are drawn to the MAGA ideology and how this movement is rooted in a desire for power, control, and resource exploitation, the very definition of colonization. Now, as one palm color man puts it, our culture is colonizing, palm color supremacy, palm color nationalism, Christianity. All of these are built upon or based on colonizing. That's why there's a Trump, and that's why there is a MAGA. Now, his words cut to the heart of the issue, revealing the dark underbelly of palm color supremacy and its far-reaching consequences. We'll also hear from a young palm color woman who bravely challenges the notion that we should be colorblind. Now, she argues that to deny the differences in our skin color is to deny the differences in our privilege and to promote ignorance, which is very true. And her words are a powerful reminder that racism is not just about individual prejudice, but about systemic inequality and privilege. We'll also hear from another palm color man who shares what he's learned from listening to Black women. So with that said, let's take a look at these videos. I will be right back.
I don't see many black and brown folks running around in a cult. I just don't. But I see a load of white people running around in a cult called the Trump MAGA cult. Why is that? Why are so many white people involved in a cult? Following a criminal clown. Why? A goofy, uneducated, ignorant, a soulless human being, a psychopath, who only sees his own value and nobody else's. Why have so many white people joined this cult? One reason: the love of power, the love of control, and the love of wanting to steal resources. That's what colonizers do. White people, our culture is colonizing. White supremacy, white nationalism, Christianity, all that is based upon colonizing. That is the reason why there is a Trump cult MAGA existence today. That's why we're in this state, this climate of crazy political bullshit. It's ridiculous. It's weird and it's funny. And it's laughable. The things that comes out of Trump's mouth, the amount of lies, the corruption, the inhumanity, it's insanity. But guess what? Supremacy is insanity. That belief system, that narrative, that ideology, and it's cultural, and it is ingrained in America, and it is America's biggest problem. Yes, it is our biggest problem. Trump and his MAGA cult are the prime example of everything that's wrong with this country. And until we fix white supremacy, this country will never know peace. And it's also our most neglected sin. The white man has never dealt with his own goddamn immorality of greed and need for power. That white nationalist colonizer that is taught to every single white person in America. Till we fix that, we will never have peace, folks. And what white people have never understood, it hurts us more than anybody else. Us. It robs us of dignity. It robs us of humanity. And I apologize for my voice. I got COVID. But I think I'm getting better.
I know I don't understand your experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I have never had to live it.
Come on now.
I can sympathize, and I can recognize when things are wrong.
That's right.
For instance, if a black man or woman should never be afraid for their life, for getting pulled over, for speeding.
Come on now. Come on.
But I have never lived in that fear.
Come on now. Come on.
No black man or woman should ever be reluctant to walk outside for fear of racial profiling.
Come on. Tell it.
But I have never been racially profiled.
That's right. Come on now.
No black man or woman should ever expect to go to jail in their lifetime because of the color of their skin.
Come on now.
But I have never lived in that expectancy.
That's good. That's good.
And this is why I don't believe in the phrase, I don't see color.
That's right.
One, to say you don't see color is a lie. We're different. We can all see that. But two, and way more importantly, to deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege.
Come on.
I'm going to say that again. again because I think it's worth repeating. To deny the differences in our skin is to deny the differences in our privilege. And that leads me to my next point. To deny the differences in our color is to promote ignorance. Ignorance is the reason that systemic racism and oppression is allowed to exist in this country.
That's good. That's good.
So why am I here? Why am I up here speaking?
Come on now. Tell them, sister.
I'm going to talk on about 3 things. One of those is change, the other is ignorance, and one is discomfort. I'll get there.
Go ahead. Take your time.
Broadly speaking, why am I here? Because I want change. But let me speak on that for a second. Because I think a lot of people want change. I think a lot of people say they want change, but let me clarify. I think a lot of white people think they want change. But here's the thing about that. In order for there to be a true and genuine change, for you, for the black community, for people of color, there has to be an equal and requited amount of change for white privilege.
Yes, right.
And that is something that white people don't want to think about. They don't want to admit that. White people don't want to acknowledge the head start we have in life just for being born this color. You know what? That is willful ignorance.
Put it on front line.
Willful ignorance is what allows oppression to continue in this country.
Together we stand. That's it.
So I'm going to talk on ignorance for a second. I think one of the biggest things that allows ignorance to continue is our education system.
There it is, baby.
Yes, ma'am. Our education system.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I mean by that is our education is a white man's education.
It is. Oh, yes.
It is a white man's history.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell it.
Why does that matter? Again, like I said, I can recognize when something is wrong. And that is wrong. Why? Because when you tell that history, the history that excludes black history and black culture and the black experience, you allow white people to think that nothing is wrong. And when that happens, you allow white people to think, well, it was bad back then, but it's not bad now. Hell no. It's bad now. In fact, some might say it's worse because this is systemic oppression. This is institutional oppression. This is oppression that is not overt, but it is just as powerful, and we are able to hide it. And I have more to say. If you want to hear all of it, please come out Saturday.
We'll be there.
Thank you. We appreciate it. But just know the reason I'm here is because I stand by you. I support you. I love each and every one of you out here. We are brothers and sisters to the day we die. And this is not my time to have my voice heard, but I will use my voice for you. I promise.
Thank you.
Good morning, white people. This is part 3 of Things I Learned by Listening to Black Women, the series where you don't listen to black women, so a straight white man repeats what they say, and maybe you'll listen to that. There have been a lot of videos of white women asking, what can I do to help? What can I do to show black people that I'm safe to be around? The overwhelming majority of black women have answered this question by saying, talk amongst yourselves. Have the difficult conversations with your mothers, your aunts, your sisters, your friends, and most importantly, yourself. Dismantle your own internal biases. Don't try to appear safe. Be safe. Be compassionate, be empathetic, and don't think you deserve a reward for doing so. Your intent will come through without you having to say anything if it's sincere. Another big one was defend black women at work, meaning if you notice that someone else is dismissive of what someone is saying because they're black, stop it. Call it out. If a black person has an idea that gets dismissed by a white person who then suddenly puts that idea forth 10 minutes later, call that out. Make it visible. Make it uncomfortable. Many black women talk about being scared of white women even more than they are afraid of white men. They point out how hypocritical it is that the same white women who said they'd choose the bear over the man are calling black women crazy for feeling safer around white men than white women. If you feel the need to point out not all blank, doesn't matter what it is, then you are the person that people have to worry about. Tune in next time when we'll cover why you don't need AAVE when you've got expressions like, I've had it up to here, and you're cruising for a bruisin'. That's all for now. Please share with other white people. Side note, I have a lot of new black women followers. Thank you so much for watching me stumble through this. I hope it goes without saying that if you have any specific topics that you'd like me to listen for and share with other white people, please let me know. And if you're feeling especially generous, feel free to correct me if I get things wrong. Again, thank you so much.
Now, I want to start with the phrase of being colorblind. I don't see color. Should a society be colorblind? Well, no. Societies should never be colorblind because being colorblind diminishes and invalidates the experiences of black and people of color and does not advocate for systemic change. Now, colorblindness makes palm color individuals blind to the systemic oppression that non-palm color individuals face. And it also makes conversations about articism more difficult because people choose not to acknowledge that it exists. Now, a colorblind society is a society that posits that approaching all individuals equally without regard to their background is the best way to end articism and discrimination. Colorblindness is typified by the phrase, I don't see color, with color referring to ethnicity, culture, and race. Now, the idea of colorblindness is to erase differences and allow people to see each other simply as people. In a utopian colorblind society, one would base opinion solely on character and treat everyone equally. All individuals would be seen equally and everyone treated the same regardless of past experiences based on race, ethnicity, or culture. Articism and discrimination are challenging issues, and the concept of societal colorblindness attempts to minimize the conversation surrounding articism and discrimination. Now, colorblindness allows individuals to ignore articism and the effects that it has on those that are non-palm color. Those who are the least likely to experience forms of articism voluntarily choose to no longer see the results of articism, resulting in colorblind articism. Now, colorblind articism, by definition, shows that when one chooses to decide that color does not exist, then one chooses to ignore both the art and the systems of oppression that are in place and their historical and ongoing impact. Now, colorblindness permits palm color individuals to minimize their role in articism and the effects of articism that are seen in daily life. This minimization makes conversations around articism more difficult. Now, those who espouse colorblind ideology propose multiple associated benefits. According to colorblind ideology, people would not be classified based on the group that they are in. Instead, people would be seen for their character, personality, and inner traits. Now, within this ideology, children would be taught to treat others fairly regardless of race or different appearance. Colorblind ideology also would prevent governments from intervening in education and employment because all people are seen equally. And according to U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, colorblind ideology would prevent a code of victimization. Now, a code of victimization causes palm color people to resent minority ethnic groups for receiving preferential treatment. Victimization also occurs when one group begins to call out oppression from a larger majority group. That majority group that then begins to feel victimized based on feelings of being blamed. Now, the ideology that everyone should be treated equally and seen as equals is an undeniably possible idea. However, a good idea is not necessarily a feasible idea. African American civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Now, this is the premise behind a colorblind society. In an effort to eradicate articism, a colorblind society or race-blind society promotes that people look past color and see others as people. In 2007, Chief Justice John Roberts argued for a colorblind society, stating the way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. Now, in a colorblind society, the discussion of race is often left off the table. After all, if people don't see color when they look at others, then why should they feel the need to discuss race? Now, in a colorblind society, parents may not speak to their children about race. There are pros and cons to this, and to opponents of a colorblind society, refraining from educating kids on race can lead to an ignorant society. To proponents of a colorblind society, children who don't speak of racial differences will treat other children fairly and equally, regardless of race or color. Now, this is what other people think. Proponents of a colorblind society believe that ignoring race will naturally lead to a more equal society. The mentality is, if we ignore race, won't we end up treating everyone the same? That's what the advocates of a colorblind society believe in. They believe that not addressing race is a polite way to relate with minorities, and people are hated as individuals rather than someone who's palm color or black, for instance. Now, when race is left off the table, people are given opportunities and establish relationships based on their character and personality rather than their race. Many supporters of a colorblind society do not agree with giving preferential treatment to minorities in public, college admissions, or public education. They argue that if society is truly colorblind, then everyone should be treated fairly and nobody should be given special treatment. Now, the notion that we should be colorblind and not acknowledge the differences in skin color and ethnicity is a misguided and harmful idea. The truth is, we all see color. We all notice the differences in skin tone, hair texture, and facial features that distinguish one person from another. Now, pretending that you don't see these differences is not only dishonest, but it's also a way of denying the very real disparities in privilege and opportunity that exists in our society. When someone says they don't see color, what they're really saying is that they don't want to acknowledge the ways in which our society is structured to benefit some groups at the expense of others. Now, we can't just pretend that racism and inequality doesn't exist, because they do, or that they're not connected to the color of our skin. We have to acknowledge the ways in which our society is rigged against certain groups, and we have to work to dismantle those systems of oppression. Saying that you don't see color is not a way of promoting equality or fairness. It's actually a way of perpetuating inequality by ignoring the very real differences in experience and opportunity that exist between different racial and ethnic groups. Stop pretending that you don't see color, because everyone does see color. Now, I never wanted to touch much on what the first palm color man said in his video, because this is something that we have been talking about and it's something that we know. Same applies to what the other man said in the last video. But what do you have to say about these videos? Please share your thoughts as well in the comment section and let's have a conversation there. Thank you for always watching, and see you in my next video as we bring you another interesting video.